Hello friends, I am Damini Dikshit welcoming you to CLAT Funda. CLAT Funda is an initiative by Institute of Law Nirma University to help you through CLAT 2020. We know that world these days is facing an extraordinary situation, but with hope in our hearts that things will soon improve, be normal, we should keep striving to learn and grow. So let's begin with our today's lecture. You've already done 2 lectures of logical reasoning in CLAT Funda series. Your previous lectures dealt with the syllabus, pattern, basics and fundamentals of logical reasoning. Today I'll be telling you some tips to prepare for your logical reasoning section and we'll discuss some questions to explain the implementation of the same. Tips and tricks for logical reasoning. So tip number 1 is begin with basics. Learning the basics of logical reasoning is very essential. If you are clear with the basics, you can also easily solve difficult questions in less time. As rules applicable are always same. Example, once you know that to solve a linear equation, rule of BODMAS is applied, no matter how lengthy the equation is, you can easily solve it. As you know that you have to first open the brackets, then divide, then multiply, then subtract. Yes? So when you know the rule, you can solve the question however difficult it may be. So the tip is ascend from easy to difficult. Whenever we prepare for such exams, it is really very essential that we preserve our confidence till the end. So if we begin with difficult questions, we would end up demotivated. It is better to slowly progress from easy to difficult. So we should try first to master basic topics of our course like calendar, blood relations, directions, seating arrangements, etc. So that by the time we reach difficult part of our syllabus, we will be sure that we are through with our basics. This boosts up our confidence and makes us prepared even for difficult question. Now our management. In CLAT exam, this time plays to be a most important factor. Logical reasoning will be 20% of your paper. That makes it around 28 to 32 questions. 20% of 2 hours will be 24 minutes. So we will have to solve one question in less than a minute. So it is necessary that we learn to manage time in that way. We have an assumption that we'll save time in sections like GK. But this year, that part also has about 450 words passages. So there will be passages in GK section also. So GK, English, legal aptitude, all your sections will be time taking. Therefore, time management is very essential in this exam. Now, how can we manage time? That is practice. Practice makes a man perfect is an age-old and very commonly used proverb. However, it holds true this time as well. It is very important that we practice a lot before taking these competitive tests. It will not only help you to learn how to tackle questions, but it will also help you in time management. Once you get comfortable practicing the sections and related problems, the problem will start to consume lesser time than usual. Another advantage, less emphasized but very essential, is that practice will make you feel acquainted to questions. Usually, while taking these exams, candidates are very nervous. And so, if you practice well in advance, you'll have an edge over other candidates because you will be acquainted to questions, you will be acquainted to the pressure which a person feels during the exam. So you should take as many mock tests as possible and practice a lot. Shortcuts. Generally, we are advised to keep away from shortcuts. However, in situation like CLAT, we should not totally abstain from them, rather just be sure of them. Apply shortcuts, but first practice and learn them so that you don't go wrong. For topics with no shortcuts, there would be easy methods of solving them, which would help you to get through all tricky questions in your exam. So find those methods and learn them. So if we talk about CLAT exam, we cannot say a big no to shortcuts, but we can say a yes with conditions applied. Okay, so tip number is logic test. There will be questions in this section where a series of assumptions, arguments, or statements are provided, and one had to conclude an answer to the questions regarding them. So, in such questions, we should be careful not to use outside facts or personal knowledge or outside knowledge. Rather, stick to facts given in question. The logic which is required to reach the answer is hidden in the questions, and there is no need to look anywhere for answers but in the question itself. This section demands not only accuracy but also a very good speed. And if you stick with above explained tips, you will surely score well in your exam. Now, tip number 7, which is applicable not only for your logical reasoning sections but equally applies to all the sections that you are preparing for. Revision is very important. How much ever we emphasize, it will be less. This part is that important. All this time you are in process of learning new things every day. It happens that during this process of learning a lot new things, our brain jumbles up and mixes the data we have collected. And it happens that on final day, formulas, shortcuts, etc., everything gets mixed up in our mind. So we should also revise everything. Whatever we read, to bring clarity, we should revise it. Revision helps to bring clarity and also helps the knowledge retention for longer time. For whole of your logical reasoning part, now I'll be giving you some tips for particular topics. So we'll begin with statement and assumption questions. Statement and assumption problems are very crucial in the examination. These questions are very important as they do not require any calculations, charts, etc., and can be answered in a glance. Here are some easy tips and tricks for you to solve statement and assumption problems in a fast and simple way. First one is, if an assumption consists of words like only, any, all, every, why, what, these, therefore, but, definitely, or certainly, then that assumption will always be explicit or false in nature if our statement is general. Let's check if this trick works. This is a statement: everybody loves reading mythological books. Assumptions: mythological books are the only reading material. No person loves reading any other material but mythological books. So now if we apply our trick here, it makes it that if an assumption consists of word like only but, it will be false in nature. It will be explicit in nature. And here in this question, both our assumptions have words like only or but. So the answer should be neither one nor two is implicit. That is, both are explicit. And yes, D is the correct answer. And C, our trick applies. The point to be noted for this trick is that this applies when your statement is a general statement. It is not specific or limited. Everybody loves reading mythological books is a general statement. And so this trick will always work in such questions. Let's move to the next. If words like many, some, much, and to large extent are there, then that assumption will always be true or implicit in nature. When statement is general and not specific. Okay, so let's see. Here is a statement. A warning in a train compartment. To stop train, pull chain. Penalty for improper use 500. There are two assumptions. Many people misuse the alarm chain. Assumption 2. On some occasions, people may want to stop a running train. Okay, so now we will apply our tip here, which says if statement is general and assumption uses the word many and some, assumptions will be true. Now here both the assumptions use the word many or some, so both assumptions should be true. By that logic, our answer should be E, that is both 1 and 2 are implicit. Now let's check the answer. Yes, the correct answer is E, that is both 1 and 2 are implicit. And C, our trick works. Third trick. If a notice, appeal, and advertisement are there in a statement, then the assumption which conveys the message of the notice, advertisement, appeal will always be true or implicit in nature. In our previous example also, there was a notice, a warning, and both our assumptions were supporting the notice or warning, and therefore those assumptions were true. Now let's see another example of this. Is do not cheat in the board examination. A notice read. Assumption: it is possible to do cheating in the board exams. And second assumption: such warning will have some effects. Now, both these assumptions are in the favor of statement. Yes, first is it is possible to do cheating, and second is this warning will have some impact, will have some result. That is why we are giving a warning, that is why we are giving a notice. Yes, so in this also both our assumptions are implicit, and answer is E. Now, fourth, if an assumption is related to social well being or policies of government, that assumption will always be true or implicit in nature, because when we say that government is working for the welfare, such assumptions will always be true. Fifth is, if an assumption is related to past and future things, that assumption will always be false or explicit in nature. So if an assumption is talking about something in past or something in future, while a statement is about the present, that assumption will always be explicit. Let's see. Electric cars produce less pollution. Assumption: electric cars electric cars will be the only means of transportation in future. All vehicles in past caused a lot of pollution. Now see, one assumption is talking about the future and the other assumption is talking about the past. However, a statement is about present. Electric cars produce less pollution. That's it. So if we apply our tip, it means that both 1 and 2 should be explicit. And the answer is D. Neither 1 nor 2 is implicit. Okay. In assumptions, that if an assumption is against the statement, it will be explicit. Suppose the statement is all should use mask and sanitizer. Now assumption is mask is not necessary, sanitizer should not be used. So this assumption is against the statement, and therefore these assumptions which are against the statement will always be explicit. So both these assumptions are false or explicit. Now, done with your assumption and statement part, let's discuss an other very commonly asked topic in logical reasoning section, that is, I'll give you some general tips about encoding and decoding, and then we'll learn how many types of encoding and decoding questions come in your exams. Some general tips are: carefully and very keenly observe all the alphabets and numbers given in the question. In encoding decoding questions, you usually get some numbers, alphabets, and you have to find the logic of their arrangement. So we should carefully and very keenly observe all the alphabets and numbers. Try to find what relation or sequence they have, whether it is ascending, whether it is descending, etc. Okay. Detect the rule in which alphabets, numbers, words are they can be multiples of a common number, they can be any series of numbers or alphabets like prime numbers, or they can be vowels in case of alphabets. Yes, so we should try to determine what pattern are they following. Find form from options which alphabet number satisfies the rule sequence you have observed in the number given above. So if you have, like, if you practice and you become quick, these questions can also be done by hit and try method. So if it is a series and you have 4 options, so you can also hit and try that this option, this option, this option, but generally it takes time because you'll have to try 4 options. Yes, so if you practice you can quickly do that also. Now, some other things which you should know for this part is letter positions are also sometimes taken into questions, like A is equals to 1, B is equals to 2, C is equals to 3, D is equals to 4. This is the sequence which is also taken into questions. There are also opposites, like A is opposite to Z, B is opposite to Y, and so on. Through practice, you will come across many such series, and then identification that what this series is doing, it will become easier. As we have emphasized on practice, it applies. Okay, now I'll be telling you how many types of P is written to be R. The other P is also written to be R, which means we are applying the logic A is equals to 1 and C is equals to 3. So the logic is A plus 2. The code is A plus 2. So 1 plus 2, 3. So third alphabet is written. Yes. So we'll apply the same logic. We'll do mangoes M plus 2. So M plus 2 will be O. M and O. A plus 2 will be C. So if we apply the same logic, we'll get it that the answer is OCPIQ. Okay. So this was the first type of coding. Let's move to the second type of coding. Substitution. What is substitution? If black is called green, green is called yellow, yellow is called red. So what happens in substitution? If one place is substituted to be called as another thing. So suppose if all boys are called girls, and if all girls are called men, and if all men are called women. So there is a substitution. Yes. So let's try to solve this example and for better understanding. If black is called green, green is called yellow, yellow is called red, red is called violet, violet is called white, what would be color of a leaf? Now we know that the color of the leaf is green, and green is option C. But the fact is that green is not called green. As per our question, green is called yellow. So our answer will be D. The color of the leaf is D. Now let's move on to next type of coding. So is used in the B sentence. Na jo tod means water is life. Yes. Now water is used in the first sentence as well. So if we try to find out, a common is na, na. So that means in this language water is na. We have to find life. Life is in D also. Now D, life is jo, because jo is common in both these sentences. So now we get that is TOD, Todd. C. So this way you have to move in these questions, like take take a pair of sentences and find the word common in those sentences and remove, and then find what the word which you are asked in question would mean. Okay, so let's move on to last coding, that is mixed number coding. In this type of questions, a few group of numbers is coding a message are given. So same as above, comparing the coded messages by taking two at a time, you can find number code for each word. Example, if Kamini is equals to 342, then Ganesh is equals to what? Now we'll have to first think. These questions will take time because you'll have to think why Kamini is equals to 342. What we'll do is, I have told you A is equals to 1, B is equals to 2. So we'll try to apply this logic. Yes. So in this case, alphabetic positions of all letters of the words has been added. Maybe. Let's see. K is equals to 11, A is equals to 1, M is equals to 13, I is equals to 9, N is equals to 14, I is equals to 9. So if we add up all these, it makes it 57. But 342 is not 57. It is a bigger number. Yes. So to reach that number, what I did was, we'll try dividing it. Divide 342 with 57. And we find that 342, we'll get 342 if we divide it by 57. But 57 multiplied by 6. Yes. So 6 by what logic? If we try to find out, we see that KAMINI. There are 6 letters. So we are taking letter code for each alphabet. Yes. And we are multiplying that letter code with the number of letters present. So it is letter code for K plus M k plus a plus m plus I plus n plus I, and that multiplied into 6. So 57 into 6 will make it 342. We'll apply this logic to the word asked, that is Ganesh. So what we'll see? We'll add g is equals to 7, a is equals to 1, n is equals to 14, e is equals to 5, s is equals to 19, h is equals to 8. We'll do this. Now the letters in this word are also 6. So we do that. 54 into 6. Yes, the answer is 324. 324 is given as option A. So therefore we've reached a correct logic and we'll mark 324 as the answer. So this was a small introduction to your encoding and decoding part. That's all for the day. Thank you. Stay safe and work hard. We'll meet again soon in the next video. Thank you.